Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into episode 11 of One If by Land, Two If by Tea, the history comedy podcast, where a real-life history teacher teaches a art student, I almost said a high school student, but I caught myself, art school student, the things he should have learned in history. I am the art school student, spoken so eloquently prior here, the Eddie McCabe, joined as always by my hopefully better spoken counterpart, Mr. Clark. Mr. Clark, how are you doing?
I'm doing excellent.
Good.
And we're covering there's no surprises this week.
Sure.
We already said what we were gonna do. And you know the general topic.
Right.
And we talked about how we both should have learned this in high school and didn't.
Right.
Despite Mr. Schiffman's best efforts.
He tried.
Yeah. Although I don't know if he was able to go as deep as we're gonna go.
Probably not.
You know, I think that he probably got into Mohamed and the starting of the society, but
Sure.
as far as like the caliphate and the immediate successors and the ins and outs of that, he probably wouldn't have had time.
No, probably not. You know, because it feels like world religion is, or like religion in context to history is just really quickly like glossed over. It's like, look, here, we're going to hit this. We're going to hit Buddhism, Taoism, Hindu. Like,
Yeah.
we're just going to go for it. And it's like each class is going to, like, 2 classes per religion. Let's go.
Yeah. I think I remember more teaching, like you said, about the religion itself.
Yeah.
I remember a guest speaker, actually, that came in and talked about how she does the prayers and why she does the prayers. And
Sure.
that she says, like, I am intending to face Mecca with
Yeah.
her prayers because sometimes she doesn't actually know if she's facing the right direction.
Sure. That was one thing that I always wondered when they said that. It was just like, do you have a compass? What's the deal?
Yeah, you're supposed to be facing east,
Yeah.
and that's good enough.
Yeah.
But she makes a habit. I remember she said she made a habit of saying, I am intending to face Mecca.
Yeah, right.
And if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
Allah forgive me.
Yeah. Look, I don't, Bo Burnham. First of all, if you have Netflix, watch Inside.
Okay.
It's fantastic. It's his new comedy special that he filmed entirely in quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
It's very funny, very heavy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've heard the Jeff Bezos song.
I love the Jeff Bezos song, and it's stuck in my head permanently
Yeah,
right
so
now.
that's what it's from.
Oh.
It's from that.
So that's why it's only a minute.
Yeah.
Ah.
The song is longer, but not by much.
On Spotify, I looked for it.
Oh, you looked for it?
Yeah, and it's like a minute on Spotify
Yeah.
or something like that.
I thought you heard it on TikTok.
No.
So, but it's all over TikTok. So there's that. There's White Woman's Instagram.
Yeah, that one too.
So that's also from Inside. But he has a song which I do recommend you find. It is called From the Perspective of God.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things he talks about is how people take like the name and like the word of God like too seriously.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I created the fucking universe. Do you think I'm drawing the line at the deli aisle? Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like it's all those type of like contradictions and stuff like that, which is very funny. And so I highly recommend you look at that. And that's the type of thing where I think it's like, yeah, look, here's the thing. You're supposed to face Mecca. I don't know if you know this, but the world's a globe.
Mm-hmm.
So technically, anywhere you face, you can get there.
Yep, you could draw the line around the. Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So I don't think Allah is going to be super picky.
Right. Well, you bring up the deli aisle, and back to something that we said on the last podcast. My joke that like Mohamed was just a smart guy who
Sure.
knew what people were supposed to do, was frustrated that they wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
So he said
he was Thanos.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm
I'm
not going there.
Minus the genocide.
Yeah, that's a little.
Well,
that's
that was
a rough comp.
I don't know. Thanos' whole thing. Look, again, Thanos is the more crazy person in this situation.
Yes.
Because his whole thing was like, people are starving,
Mm-hmm.
and half the people should die.
Yeah, and he had godlike powers, and he could have doubled the resources, but he chose to just kill half the people.
Well, he eventually got there, but in the beginning, when he, if everybody was just like, look, let's murder half the people on our planet, we'll be okay.
Yeah.
If they listen to him, maybe.
Oh, man. But back to the being smart thing.
Yeah.
The pork, right?
Yeah.
We talked about on another previous
the
podcast.
indigenous disease
The
episode.
diseases, yeah, right? And the diseases both that pigs would spread while they were alive and that they carried if you didn't cook them correctly.
Sure.
So it would kind of make sense to just say, hey, don't eat pork.
Yeah.
It's not worth dying.
Yeah.
We love bacon,
Sure.
right? But
Yeah.
not worth your life.
No, not worth your life.
So stay away.
Right.
God told me.
God told me to. God drew the line at the deli aisle. Right.
If you want to hear me make jokes about Christianity, there's plenty on the last podcast, and I'm sure we'll get an opportunity for more on this one.
Wait till because I have to imagine we're going to do the Spanish Inquisition at some point.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And I'm just going to do Monty Python references.
Yeah, we will. And Leviticus, telling people not to eat shellfish.
Yeah, don't eat shellfish.
Right.
Yeah, it's shellfish, mixed cloth, and gay. Same level of evil.
Yeah. Right. And worthy of death.
Yeah, yeah. That's the thing is we should murder you because you had some clam strips, you monster.
And the words have also been translated so much. Like the original meaning was like against tradition.
Yeah, right.
It is against tradition, not evil.
Yes.
But the way it's been translated over and over again, it's drifted more towards evil in our English translation.
Yeah, that's like you look at the thing that they say for like I forget the popular verse, but the verse about like thou shalt not lie with a man.
Yes.
Like and it's like that was like originally like boys.
Could be.
It was.
Oh, okay.
It was originally supposed to be boys, and then they changed that somewhere in one of the English translations.
So the original message could have been anti-pedophilia,
correct,
and not anti-gay. Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, that's
but not surprising given all the other translations
that
have been screwed up and distort the way that.
Yeah,
we
because
worship today.
Again, I think I brought this up on a different show, and I can't remember what it is, but there's a book called The Cabin. Mm-hmm. It's about a guy who meets God in like a cabin in Maine or something like that.
I love movies like that.
Yeah.
Anywhere you just pop God in, like it's candid camera.
Yeah, it's like God just shows up, and like one of the things that God said, and it's really kind of powerful, and it definitely sticks, is I think it's actually depicted as a woman in this, but God basically is just like, I didn't write that book. Like, I don't know, like that's not my book. Like, that's man's book. Like, some guys wrote that. I didn't, you know what I mean? Like, especially
when we get to the books like what Paul wrote,
right?
Which that guy has quite the memory.
Yeah, sure.
Because he doesn't remember when he was persecuting Christians and murdering them and. No. Complete enemy, and then he had his conversion, right? And Jesus spoke to him and all that. And doesn't show a lot of grace, in my opinion.
I mean, the entirety of organized religion is just terrible, but that's just my own personal opinion.
Yeah, I'm anti-people.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at it. I mean, here's the thing, and you know what? We did a real good job not, saying anything controversial in the last episode. I think it was pretty straightforward.
Depends who you ask.
Yeah, I guess it depends on who you ask, but... here we go. It's like the CDC. It's like the CDC. The CDC finally has power and people are listening to them. And they're not the joke that they became after The Walking Dead, when they blew the CDC office, because everybody in Atlanta was like, can your building actually explode? And for those of you who don't know, in the first season of The Walking Dead, the surviving main characters go to the CDC headquarters in Atlanta because they're like, maybe they found a cure. And when they get there, it's just this crazy lone guy by himself, and he's just gonna blow up the CDC because apparently this building has a mechanism in it because it has all of the world's deadliest diseases housed in it. So it just basically blows it up in a fireball to kill all the diseases. That's what ends up happening in the show. Spoiler alert. And so people in Atlanta were like, that's not a real thing, right? You're not going to accidentally hit that button and the building's going to explode in a fireball, right? And they're like, no, it's not a real thing. It's a TV show.
When you said that though,
it makes sense, right? And it's kind of scary.
It makes sense when you look into this gain of function research, which we're not going to get into lab leak. We're not going to do all that stuff. But
yeah,
the things that some of these people have done,
yeah,
it's like, why do you think this is a good idea?
Yeah, right.
Like,
right.
They took one of the deadliest flus that doesn't spread efficiently from person to person. It spreads animal to person.
Okay.
But it usually doesn't go any further than that. And they genetically modified it to spread among ferrets, which ferrets are mammals that can give us diseases, something about our immune systems. They jump fairly easily. And they did a little study. They passed one of the deadliest diseases, one of the biggest threats to us possible among the ferrets. And thank God they did their study and they wrote their paper, and those poor ferrets are probably all gone now.
Yeah, probably.
And nothing bad happened.
Yeah.
But why in the world?
Why do we do that?
Why do you do that?
So there's a quote from The Simpsons that I really like in these situations, because Marge and Homer go to a fast food restaurant and they leave. And Homer, his shirt has been breaded and deep fried.
Yep.
And he says,
I remember this.
And he says, "See, Marge, I said they could do it." And she responds, "No, Homer. I didn't say they couldn't. I said you shouldn't." And that's it. That's it
right there.
That's it. Look, here's the thing. Is it an interesting question? Sure. But why?
Yeah. So that's where we've got the flaws of human beings right now. Right. We just explored them, and they can go there in religion. They can go there in science, in a lot of other ways. And where we left off in the last episode, Mohamed had died, and his followers.
Someone was going to start cutting off arms.
Omar.
Don't
forget Omar. He's your favorite.
Yeah, Omar.
Yeah. Well, Omar, Abu Bakr, Othman, and Ali are sort of
the giant.
No, Omar's the giant.
Oh, Omar's
the giant.
Yeah, Hogan's gonna slam him.
Yeah. Ali's the one that stepped in for Muhammad and used himself as bait in the assassination plot and somehow survived.
Because they did that classic movie thing where they pulled the blanket back to see him instead of just stabbing him. And they were like, "Oh, you're not Muhammad." And he's like, "Ha ha, surprise." And then some funny quip that has to do with the movie.
It really seems like that's what happened.
That is what happened.
I think I read that they really respected him.
Sure.
Because he was willing to do that.
Yeah.
And they just let him go. It doesn't make sense why they let him go, but they did.
Yeah.
So they're sort of sitting around twiddling their thumbs like, okay, what now?
Yeah, what
right? The prophet died. And you see this in the Bible, which is hilarious because in the Bible, everybody runs.
Oh, yeah.
They all run away.
Yeah.
They lie. They pretend they didn't know him.
That's the thing. You're going to refuse me 3 times.
Yeah.
It's a huge thing. There's also this thing with people having candles over their head or something. Because they were all scared that they knew Jesus. And that's where the persecution complex comes from, right? You see that in modern Christianity when they're like, "Yeah, you're going to take my Bible from me."
Yeah.
And it's just no one said that. No, we're talking about a health crisis. Nobody said anything about a Bible.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah. It's one of the things that makes the gospel story more digestible to me is that they're real flawed people.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's all they didn't clean it up at all. They're like, "No, I didn't know that guy. He's not my friend and I don't worship him at all. I'm running."
Yeah. Nope, I am getting out of town.
They're not heroes.
No, they are not.
At all. And so the similar time period in Islam, we don't have actually a great historical record of it.
Sure.
You could argue we don't have a great historical record of the Bible, given that it's written by 4 people.
Yeah, there's also no account of. We have the birth.
Mm-hmm.
We have a couple of stories of him as a kid. And then there's nothing until he's 25.
Right, because that's when the 4 people started writing stuff down.
Yeah, right.
And I guess they didn't ask him about what it's like to be a teenager and God at the same time.
Yeah, what's it like?
Scary thought as a high school teacher.
Yeah.
So
I know, right?
Yeah, they're sitting around. They're trying to figure out what to do. And Muhammad is an interesting figure because he's like a king and a saint combined, and he's the last prophet. So there's literally no replacement for him.
Yeah.
You can't replace him.
Well, it's also funny how short everyone's worldview was.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because you see this in the Amish, right? Where it's like it doesn't account for life going on. It's like, so why are you the last prophet? Like, did you think that the world was going to end? Like, what did you think was going to happen? Like, like, why do you think that you're the last?
If we were looking at it from a perspective of a Muslim, it would be that God told him so, right?
Sure, right.
Because that's that God said, you're just the last one.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk to anybody else ever again.
In the same way.
Right.
Right. But, you know, we don't know how this whole story ends.
Yeah,
so
right.
Who knows, right? And if you're if you're a Christian, you're like waiting for the second coming.
Right.
And, you know, it's been 2,000 years.
Right.
So is all of it part of the plan, or are we wrong, right? That's the existential angst
that is.
We all got to feel. But like you said about the worldview, they have to replace him to keep their community going. We talked about the peace and how much better things were for them than their neighbors. Keep that going. You need a leader.
Oh, 100%. And this is closer to the thing that always interested me in the crazy Christian fan fiction that is the Mormon religion. So, why can't I remember his name?
Joseph Smith.
Joseph Smith. He dies and bestows the knowledge onto Brigham Young.
Okay.
And first of all, it's the most fascinating thing. And this is like I talked about in the last episode, and I'll bring it up again. The fascination that I have when it comes to religion in these stories are the real moment that happened, right? So in the story of Mormon, for the Mormon religion, Brigham Young is a part of the group that's being led by Joseph Smith to find the promised land, right, for the Mormons. They're getting persecuted. They're running west. They end up settling in Utah. But before they get there, Jonathan Smith is injured. I believe he's shot, and he's going to die. The whole thing is with that religion at that point is that God came to Smith and said, there are these gold plates from ancient Jews that built weird submarine boats and came to the Americas way back when. He finds the plates. Only he can look at the plates. That's the big thing. It's like, I have the ability to look at the plates. Nobody else can see the plates. So he's dying and bestows this on Brigham Young. The question is, are the plates real, or does Smith say to Young, this is all bullshit? Like, what is the real moment that happened? Because Brigham Young takes over the religion, moves the Mormons to Utah, and they spread the religion from there. Is it built on a lie or not? Because the real world moment is, I either hand you a bag with golden plates in it, and you read them, or there's nothing.
That's fascinating.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the craziest thing in the world to me. And it's the same thing with like here in this Mormon religion. It's just like, all right, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this guy was supposed to be the last prophet of God. How do you go on?
Yeah.
Right? Because you're like, are you a noble person? Are you a not noble person?
Yep.
Like, what? Where does this real life moment go? What does that real conversation look like?
So, in this case, the Muslims of Medina meet to elect a new leader. And they don't bring in anybody from outside of Medina, which we're going to see later is a small political mistake. Abu Bakr gathers the closest followers and crashes that party. And he argues they need to agree on a leader for the entire Muslim community. He points to Omar, and he says Omar should be the leader.
Sure. Yeah.
You think sure?
Yeah. First of all, that guy's going to get shit done. All right? He was there. What? You said Muhammad's going to die? I'm going to cut off an arm. I like that tenacity. You know what I mean?
Well, Omar, he gets emotional. He's surprised. He can't believe that
they want him.
He's being honored this way. And he says, no, he doesn't just say, he demands that Abu Bakr be the leader. Because he says that what you're doing, this shows your true character, and you're the one that should be the leader.
Yeah. So he hopped up, said he was going to start cutting off limbs if Abu Bakr
Yeah.
wasn't.
Yeah.
Again,
God only knows the threats that were made.
he's like, look, I got to fight Hulkamania.
Yeah.
It's for the WWF Championship. And Abu Bakr should take over Muslims.
I mean, in my head, I picture somebody that's somewhere between like Michael Clark Duncan, Vin Rames, Kimbo Slice, somewhere in that.
And the Great Khali.
I don't know that one.
Oh, I'll show you a picture.
Okay, yeah. So the room's convinced by this emotional display between the two followers, and
Sure.
Abu Bakr is named the first Khalifa, which loosely translates to deputy.
So where are we now that we're at Wiz? So where are we now in the lineage if we're now at Wiz Khalifa?
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, that was the first place my mind went.
Yeah. That's a good question. I don't know what.
Yeah, well, we're going to have to find.
I don't know what Wiz translates to. Hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully not as bad as English.
Yeah,
The way
yeah.
that sounds in English. So, quote from Abu Bakr, and I'm drawing this from Destiny Disrupted by Tamim Ansari, who's
Yeah.
excellent, and you should really read the book if you're interested in this time period. It's fantastic.
Of course.
But the quote from Abu Bakr, I'm not the best of you. If I do well, support me. If I make mistakes, do not hesitate to advise me. If I neglect the laws of God and Prophet, I forfeit claim to your obedience.
Amazing.
Amazing.
See, like, this is the thing, and I feel like it's the Harvey Dent quote from The Dark Knight.
Yep.
At some point, you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Yeah.
Right? And I have to imagine that every religion is that way. Christianity, Judaism, not so much. I mean, they were the villain to the Germans during World War II, but that's a very different conversation and a very different reasoning, and I don't really count it. But, like, you look at the Muslims, or the Islamic world, and, kind of the political climate and how they're treated globally, for all sorts of nonsense. Christianity in America, like...
You're talking about the institutions.
I'm talking about the institutions.
Yes, how
Yes.
the institutions
Yeah,
can get so off track
right.
of the original intent of the religion.
Right. Because, like, some religions were always and always are a scam. I look at Scientology. Scientology,
We're not insulting any religions. Just you, Scientologists.
Just you. Just you. You're a goddamn cult, and I don't believe you. I went to your industry of death. I recently went to the what's it called? I went to Los Angeles. I had to go for work, and I went to my old stomping grounds because when in Los Angeles, go to the shack that you lived in with 15 other people.
Of course.
You know what I mean? But around the corner on Sunset, they have a museum, and it is called Psychiatry, an Industry of Death.
Huh.
And it's a free museum, and it's a cytology museum that tells you that psychology is the devil. And it's just like, you're terrible.
Oh, God. Yeah. Well, what we're seeing now is the institutions, like, barely formed.
Right.
And these guys are trying to figure out how to keep it alive while
Sure.
it's so vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
They have enemies everywhere that are attacking them. And so Abu Bakr, right, incredible politician. Imagine if our leaders today had that very same attitude.
Oh, they don't.
But they 100%
They're
don't.
spineless sacks of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. I know we try to keep this PG.
We do try to. Sometimes there's no PG version for how to describe most of our leaders today. So everything's great, right? Tears and hugs between Omar and the wise
you
old-
man. No, you man.
Yeah. There's a problem though.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Cousin Ali is not there.
No.
Cousin Ali. He's more than cousin. We'll get to that in just a sec.
He's not about it.
Left out. No, they just didn't bring him to the meeting.
That's sad.
Snubbed him.
Oh, that's
Completely snubbed him. He was literally washing Mohammed's body and preparing him for funeral when this happened.
Oh, that's brutal.
Brutal. And to a lot of people, Ali was the closest to Muhammad
Sure.
and the natural successor. Ali's uncle had raised Muhammad, so they have this sort of brother relationship, but there's a 30-year gap.
Okay.
So they're also sort of like father and son. And then Ali is married to Muhammad's daughter.
Okay.
So now he's
Yeah.
cousin, son-in-law, son, brother.
Yeah. Weird.
Yeah, there's no way around it. I'm sorry, it's weird.
It's weird. I mean, look, there's not a whole lot of people, I guess.
No disrespect to all the wonderful Muslim people and your religion and your faith. None of that.
No, that's
there's
some
weird
backwoods
stuff
Alabama stuff. No.
Yeah, there's weird stuff in the Bible, too. We get it. I
Yeah.
know. Just gotta...
I don't believe that Adam and Eve had everybody.
And right, if you say that, then there's nothing but incest there.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, it's impossible for, like, generations, and it just doesn't feel good.
Yeah. So, okay. I'm glad we got that off our chests.
Yeah.
Because that was killing me.
Sure.
So,
Maybe that's why that guy didn't get invited. There's too many connections.
too many.
It's too many.
Yeah, well,
I'd rather go with the guy that said he was going to chop off somebody's arm because he said he was dead.
well, yeah, even though Ali risked his life in the assassination plot, right? Like,
Yeah.
stood in as the bait, and also was basically the Achilles of Islam.
Okay.
And won several small battles via single combat. Your best versus my best, they call out Ali,
Okay.
not Omar,
Yeah. Well.
who is beastly, as we know.
Yeah. Hopefully he goes by Prince Ali, because handsome is he, Ali Ababa. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a Aladdin joke.
Okay.
I know
Yeah,
that Matt didn't get that.
Yeah. Well, it's been a while.
Sure,
since I've
I
seen it.
bet.
I haven't had occasion.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Get Disney Plus, you monster.
I have Disney Plus.
Well,
but
watch it.
Why would I watch Aladdin?
Because it is delightful, and Robin Williams is a treasure.
It was delightful. I enjoyed it when I was a kid.
Yeah.
When I have kids,
Yeah. Well.
that'll be one that I'll watch with them.
Sure.
You know, because it beats a lot of the newer kids' movies.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So, Lion King, right? Lion King is just epic
That's-
hero's journey.
That is the thing that I look forward to the most, is hearing you complain about the children's entertainment. Like, that's going to bring me, like, a small joy when, like, you have some kid that's, like, fixated on whatever the equivalent of Dr. McStuffins is.
It's going to hurt me so much.
Oh, it's going to be the best.
Yeah, it's going to be bad.
It's going to be the best.
Another thing, right? So, right, Ali married Fatima, Muhammad's daughter.
Sure.
So the bloodline of Muhammad
Yeah,
is actually alive.
Right.
Right? He has grandsons. I don't know how far that goes or how much they can trace of that.
It'd be interesting,
It'd
yeah.
be very interesting because I know George Washington, it died out.
Oh,
Like
really?
in the early 1800s, yeah.
That's too bad.
Pretty sure there's nobody
That's like-
directly descendant past that. Could be wrong. If I'm wrong, somebody tweet
Yeah.
me. But I'm pretty sure it dies out there. But how far could the Muhammad bloodline, is it like still to this day?
Going strong.
Yeah. If only he had like left behind something to DNA test.
Yeah,
so we
sure.
could figure it out.
Or we knew what he looked like.
Or we knew what he looked like to look for him.
Yeah, because we don't know who we're looking for.
Thanks, guys. So that's all the points for him. But there are some people that believe all of that actually works against him because hereditary succession is the old way of doing things.
Right.
Islam is not about that. It's about the community.
Yeah.
And so it's about finding somebody who can be the leader, who can steward the community.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, you're basically like, it makes sense.
Yeah. And so all those qualities of like bravery and charisma, since you're not a prophet, what does that really matter?
Yeah. Right.
You know, that's not inspired by God. That's just you're a cool guy.
Yeah. You're just cool.
You're just cool. So that actual dispute about who should have been first is what creates the Sunni and Shiite sects of Islam.
Oh, of course it is.
Yeah. It's not going to play too much into the story today, but down the line it becomes more important. And there's differing accounts of how Ali responded to the news. So some people argue that he resisted.
Okay.
And that there was this 6-month period of him sort of not going full-scale rebellion against Abu Bakr, but not quite accepting him either, and that they had to use force to get him in line.
Okay.
So, and then there's other people that are saying, no, he actually accepted it and responded with grace. Tend to believe that the second argument there.
Sure.
Just based on some of what we're going to see later from him, it seems more likely.
Okay, yeah.
But we don't know. And just if we're keeping score, the Sunnis believe Abu Bakr was the first successor, and the Shiites believe that Ali was the first true successor.
Okay.
And if you want to make fun of them
Yeah.
for something silly like that, creating a
blood feud that lasts generations.
Yeah, and a break in the religions. Look at the Church of England and look at the Catholic Church.
Oh, yeah.
Which literally started because King Henry the Eighth, right, wanted a divorce.
Yep.
And Pope wouldn't give him one.
Yeah, and there's now a very fun musical about it.
Yeah.
Called Six. It's about the 6 wives.
And literally the Church of England is the Catholic Church, except they're pointy-hatted guys in Canterbury.
Yeah.
And not in the Vatican.
Right.
And everything else is the same.
Yeah.
And it's not until the Protestants where you have legitimate theological differences.
Sure.
Right? Like they had some real reasons to disagree.
Yeah, right.
But my pointy-hatted guy is in Canterbury.
And your pointy-hatted guy is in Rome.
Right. Or my pointy-hatted guy is in Istanbul, I think, or Constantinople.
Well, Istanbul was Constantinople,
Yeah.
but now it's Istanbul, not Constantinople.
Yes.
But nobody cares but the Turks.
Yes. Great song.
Wonderful
Great song. Great plug in Umbrella Academy.
Oh, fun.
I don't know why it works in the scene, but it does.
Sure.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
I haven't.
Ah.
I haven't watched Umbrella Academy. I do remember it being in Tiny Toons.
Oh.
Tiny Toons did it.
Another good use of the song. So, eventually, Ali gets on board. So, the gang of friends is together, intact. But, not surprisingly, lots of tribes throughout the Arabian Peninsula that had converted try to branch off and go at it on their own. They say their allegiance was to Mohammed.
Sure.
They weren't consulted in the Abu Bakr appointment. Right. Some of them say they're still Muslims. We're going to lay off the booze. We're going to give to the poor. But we're not a part of your social experiment anymore.
Yeah,
we're going to do it our own way.
Yeah. Lax Muslims.
Yeah. And we're definitely not paying any taxes.
Sure.
So thanks, but no thanks. A few of them popped out with their own leader claiming to be the next prophet.
Yeah.
And Abu Bakr's response, I'm going to go back to the book here. Abu Bakr responded to the crisis by declaring secession to be treason. The prophet had said, no compulsion in religion, and Abu Bakr did not deny that principle. People were free to accept or reject Islam as they pleased, but once they were in, he asserted they were in for good. In response to a political crisis, Abu Bakr...
Oh, no. Oh, no, you ended up...
I'd like the audience to know that I put my phone on Do Not Disturb.
But your laptop betrayed you.
My laptop betrayed me, yeah.
It happens.
Yeah. Sorry about that, people.
We should have... If it was somebody fun, we should have asked them about the quote.
I don't want to say who it was because then that person would be insulted that that they're not fun.
That's true. They're not fun.
Yeah. I forgot we were at the Blood In, Blood Out,
yes.
Right? We were at Blood In, Blood Out. Right? You're in for good. In response to a political crisis, Abu Bakr established a religious principle that haunts Islam to this day, the equation of apostasy with treason. Braided into this policy was the theological concept that indissoluble singleness of God must be reflected and indissoluble singleness of the Ummah. With this decision, Abu Bakr even more definitively confirmed Islam as a social project and not just a belief system. A Muslim community was not just a kind of community of which there could be any number, but a particular community of which there could only be one.
Yeah. a lot of like this is the thing because this is something that I'm learning while I never had an answer to was like why are they dealing in absolutes so much?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like why there can only be one. There
Yeah.
can only be one, and I guess it's just really ingrained in them.
Yeah. A lot of people look to that precedent, I guess, and you could look to that and twist it a certain way. They're trying to keep everything alive
Right.
at this time, right? It's so fragile. They have enemies everywhere,
Yeah.
and they made decisions that maybe you could argue aren't in line with what the religion was supposed to be about.
Sure.
Because Muhammad didn't exactly say blood in and blood out.
Right.
But that's the way that his first successor, not exactly successor, but
Right.
the first leader of the caliphate, that's the way that he interpreted it.
Sure.
So they put down all the rebellions, and inside of Mecca, he's like a totally different person than he is with the people claiming to be the next Muhammad.
Yeah.
You could understand that. You could understand a little more.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But the people that don't want to pay taxes, that's a little rougher.
Yeah,
to
right.
use the violence on, especially as an American.
Yeah.
We're very touchy about the enforcement of taxes.
Very much.
Uh,
Usually there needs to be some kind of representation.
Yes, yeah, seriously. And they didn't include them in a meeting.
Yeah.
Didn't even invite him.
Yeah. So
Didn't even invite Ali,
Yeah.
who was preparing for the funeral.
I know he was.
But inside of Mecca, Abu Bakr just has this reputation for being the very kind, very friendly, being as just as he possibly could with all of his decisions. He gave basically everything he had to the poor. He bought the freedom of slaves who converted to Islam. And that's probably a chicken or the egg question.
Yeah.
Are they converting to get freed? Or
What are you doing here?
Right. But the charitable giving goes to the point where he actually milks his neighbor's cow for extra cash to get by.
Real fun.
Yeah. And the children of Mecca, when they see him, they run up and yell, "Papa, Papa!" So he's just like beloved by everybody in the city.
Yeah, he's that politician, not even a politician. He's that non-politician that everybody thinks is a politician in your like hometown.
Yeah.
Everybody's got one.
Right.
Oh, this is the person that's always at this coffee shop.
Yep.
And we all know him.
Yep. Exactly. And we mentioned he's a little bit older. 2 years into his reign, he falls ill and he dies.
Oh, did he have a fever too?
Probably.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, falls ill. Who knows? Take your pick.
Yeah,
take a pick for what got him.
Got an infection, maybe.
Yeah, but before he dies, he once again points to Omar.
Yeah.
And says that Omar should succeed him.
Yeah, it's got to be that guy, right?
Yeah, got to be that guy. If you're Ali,
yeah, you got to be mad.
You got to be mad,
sure.
Especially since what we've learned about Omar, right?
Yeah,
that he's hot-headed.
Yeah.
Threatening to cut off limbs.
Yeah, he's gonna cut off an
arm. The physical description of him is giant. Stood out in a crowd as if he were on horseback.
Yeah, all right.
Bald, bearded, strong as a bull, hot-tempered.
Yeah.
Those are the bullet points there.
Yeah, look, seems like a real fun guy, but should not be leading a religion.
Yeah. Yeah, so let your imagination go with what he looks like there, right?
Yeah.
Movie character.
Sure.
Professional wrestler.
Yep.
For you. But Omar has a little St. Paul in him.
Okay.
Yeah, similar. That he hated Muhammad originally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Muhammad was against drinking and fighting.
Yeah.
And Omar loved to drink and fight.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me.
He hated him so much, he decided he was going to kill him.
Yeah, of course.
But not in his bed.
No, he was going to fight him and murder him.
Yeah. So he picks up a sword, and he walks across town.
Yeah, we'll murder this guy.
Just imagine the big giant...
Scary.
and
Right.
We have open carry guns in America, but most people don't do it. Even where it's allowed.
Yeah.
You usually don't. You usually conceal it.
Yep.
How far could you get walking with a sword? Somebody would stop you.
Somebody would.
Most places in the world, somebody would stop you, right?
Yeah.
So, but Omar, nobody stops him.
No.
He's just walking across
It's a
town.
tree of a person.
I don't know if anyone asked him where he was going or what he was doing.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'd tell him,
Probably.
I'm going to kill Mohammed.
I'm going to go kill Mohammed.
Yeah. He bumps into his sister
Okay.
sitting under a tree reading. And he stops, takes a pause from the murder
Yeah.
to ask her what she's doing,
Hey, what are you doing?
what she's reading. And she's like, no, I'm just reading. It's nothing, and
Yeah.
and he grabs it from her.
Sure.
And it's a verse of the Quran that's been recorded.
Okay.
And he reads it, and he feels like it's speaking directly to him.
Sure.
He drops the sword.
Yeah.
He keeps walking.
And he goes and hugs Muhammad.
He goes and he hugs Muhammad.
Yeah.
Says that he will follow him to the death.
Sure.
And that's his conversion story.
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah, that's a pretty good. It's way better than Paul's because
Yeah.
Paul murdered a lot of Christians.
Yeah, he did.
And then he had his little changey thing, and
Yeah.
all's forgiven.
All's forgiven.
And we have to, because forgiveness is part of the religion.
The whole thing.
Yeah, but I don't really want to with
No.
Paul.
No.
It doesn't feel right. Anyway, there's a lot of debate about whether Omar can do the job
Yeah. Okay.
for obvious reasons,
Sure.
right? Like, couldn't be more different from Abu Bakr. Children are frightened of him and run away.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Ali steps in and endorses Omar.
Yeah. Ali seems like the best one.
He seems incredible
Yeah.
for having been completely passed over
Multiple times.
twice. Yeah. And especially this one, because there was no meeting, there was no process. Abu Bakr just said, Omar's the guy.
Yeah. Omar's in charge.
But Ali, recognizes that this is probably the best thing to keep the community going.
Sure.
So he puts aside any ambition that he would have and endorses Omar, who promises to be balanced and that there will be two Omars,
Sure.
right? A kind, just, Abu Bakr-like figure
Yeah.
when necessary.
And then
And
Hellfire
then when
and
there are
Brimstone.
enemies, yeah,
Hellfire and Brimstone.
and limbs severed.
Yeah. I'm like, chop off an arm.
Omar's accomplishments really underrated historically. I'm going to read a quote from the book Destiny Disrupted. Omar directed the Ummah for 10 years, and during that time, he set the course of Islamic theology. He shaped Islam as a political ideology. He gave Islamic civilization its characteristic stamp, and he built an empire that ended up bigger than Rome. Any of these achievements could have earned him a place in a who's who of history's most influential figures. The sum of them make him something like a combination of St. Paul, Karl Marx, Lorenzo de' Medici, and Napoleon. Yet most people outside Islam know him only as a name and perhaps one or two sentence descriptor. He's the second Khalifa, a successor of Muhammad. That's about it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Crazy.
So he's credited as the person that spread the religion.
Yeah,
To the masses.
cemented the doctrine.
Okay.
Right? This goes in the Quran. This doesn't.
Sure.
I think a lot of the prayer practices and fasting and
Yeah.
cementing it all.
Yeah, this is what we're doing for Ramadan.
Yes, because some of it was written down during Muhammad's life, but some of it wasn't.
Sure.
And it's all very new. So
Yeah.
he's the one that's like, hey, we actually need to figure out what the traditions are and what we're gonna do.
Sure.
You
That's
know,
also a who's who of influential cultural people.
exactly right. And it's you hate to be compared to Karl Marx, but as far as
Right.
influence,
Yeah. Right.
it's hard to argue he wasn't an incredibly influential
Right.
thinker. So Omar never claims to speak for God, just like the previous caliphs. He appoints a committee to determine his salary so that he can live like an average citizen.
Sure.
So he's not working extra hours milking cows.
Yeah.
to give
Which
to charity.
you shouldn't.
Wasn't practical.
Yeah, here's the thing. There's two extremes. You shouldn't have to be like scraping by having a second job as the leader of a religion, but you also shouldn't live in a palace of gold.
Or a politician.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's a big problem in United States of America today, right?
Yeah. They should wear the logos on their suits like NASCAR.
That would be something. He gains a reputation for charity, wandering the streets at night with a large bag of grain, feeding hungry people.
See? Yeah, great.
And when they say you're sure, it's like huge.
Oh, yeah.
Like regular people couldn't lift it because he's such a beast.
He's just a monster.
Yeah.
He's got it slung over his shoulder, and he's just feeding children like chickens.
Yeah. So we've talked about how vulnerable the community is and how there's threats everywhere. The Byzantine Empire attacks them.
Oh.
Big mistake.
They were...
So when the Roman Empire splits...
That's right.
They're East Rome.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, and then there's some evolution from there.
Yeah.
But, they attack. Big mistake. Big mistake. Because Omar's not the guy to mess with. Not only does he defend their borders, he marches on the attack and defeats them. And takes territory from them. Then he turns around and attacks the Sassanid Empire.
Never heard of that one.
Yeah, it's part of Persia.
Okay.
Middle Persia is what I Googled.
Sure.
Because it's not my thing either. At the Battle of Qadisiyah, the Muslims are again outnumbered. We just keep saying, they're always outnumbered.
Yeah, but they keep ticking.
They keep ticking. They keep winning.
Yeah.
Which that battle, I'm not going to read you the trash talk because in modern terms, it's really terrible.
Sure.
But there was extensive trash talk at the pre-battle
It'll look like
negotiations.
the opening scene to Romeo plus Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Haven't seen that one.
Oh, you haven't seen that one?
It's
Baz Luhrmann.
Okay.
So it's set modern.
Yeah.
It might be in Venice.
But there's no battle, right?
No, but it's all of the same dialogue as the Shakespearean play.
Yeah.
But the beginning of Romeo and Juliet, where Tybalt and Mercutio are like,
there's a fight.
They're like fighting and they're just insulting each other.
Yeah.
And they're pulling guns on each other in like, floral board shorts and stuff. And it's just like, you bite your thumb at me, sir? And it's just like, I bite my thumb at you. It's just like, this seems insane.
Well, for the 300 Spartans at Thermopylae, right?
Yeah, right.
The gold standard of pre-battle trash talk,
Yeah, right.
block out the sun with arrows and we'll fight in the shade. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, right.
That's the gold standard. This trash talk isn't as funny as that to the modern reader.
It's too bad.
But it makes me think there was actually a lot more of that trash talk than we realize.
Of course.
What
I've learned is from doing this show is that people haven't changed.
Yeah, people really haven't changed.
People haven't changed.
Yeah, and people get overeager. The Sassanids. So this battle happens on the bank of a river.
Okay.
And whoever crosses that river is going to be at a disadvantage. And the Sassanids are just like, whatever, we outnumber them 2-1. We'll just go and beat them.
Yeah.
And then the problem is, if things start to not go your way, you can't maneuver anywhere.
Yeah, because your back is against the river.
Yeah, and it didn't go their way, and then they were pinned against the river, and they lost because they were dumb.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. And then, they conquer pretty much all of the Sassanid Empire. And they take Jerusalem, one of the holier cities, and then I'm going to read you a quote about that. And I'm going back to Destiny Disrupted. The Christians assumed that the Khalifa of Islam would want to perform the Muslim prayer in their most hallowed church as a token of his triumph. But Omar refused to set foot in there. If I do, he explained, some future Muslim will use it as an excuse to seize the building and turn it into a mosque, and that's not what we've come here to do. That's not the sort of thing we Muslims do. Continue to live and worship as you please. Just know that from now on, we Muslims will be living among you, worshiping in our way, and setting a better example. If you like what you see, join us. If not, so be it. Allah has told us no compulsion in religion.
Yeah, see, that seems far more realistic.
Yeah, well, back then, if you lost,
Yeah,
you
were.
lost.
Yeah, right.
You could be killed. Your family could be killed.
Oh, yeah.
Sold into slavery, and your religion's gone.
Right.
And the Muslims say, no. You're going to pay taxes to us, maybe slightly higher taxes, but we're going to leave you alone.
Yeah, you're just going
to worship however you want. And actually, it was a better deal for the people living in the Byzantine Empire because the taxes were actually a little bit lower.
Okay.
Even with the added tax, the Christian tax,
sure,
it was still less than what they were paying to the Byzantine Empire.
All right, good for them.
And the Byzantines wanted you to be a part of the Eastern Orthodox Church.
Oh, okay.
To the Muslims, Christians, anybody that's not Muslim is just out. You're just out. Like,
yeah, we don't care.
Know the difference between Roman Catholic, Eastern,
right.
whatever.
I mean, look, to be fair, nobody knows. Nobody really knows. You know what I mean? Like,
well, they really don't care.
They don't care.
Yeah, they really don't care. And so we're seeing that just over and over again, they're so successful.
Right.
Why is that? Tamim Ansari has a thought about that. Those early Muslims had a sense that they were fighting for something apocalyptically great. They felt that fighting for their cause made their lives meaningful and would give their deaths meaning as well. People have proven time and again they will attack extraordinary obstacles and endure tremendous hardships if they think the effort will impart meaning to their lives. The human hunger for meaning is a craving as fundamental as food and drink. Everyday life gives people little opportunity for this sort of nourishment, which is one reason why people get swept along by narratives that cast them as key players in apocalyptic dramas. Muslim warriors in the time of Khalifa Omar had that sense about their lives.
Yeah. When you're that is the dividing factor, I guess, is like somebody that's fighting for something.
Yeah.
When you believe in it wholeheartedly, like if you're just a part of an army marching on something for orders, you're not going to fight as viciously as you would for something you 100% believe in. That's why like, we talked about Vietnam, these people are fighting for their home. You know what I mean?
Independence.
Independence.
They're fighting for their independence.
You know what I mean?
They saw it.
Yeah. So, of course, you're going to fight harder than a bunch of American soldiers that were just, I got told I had to be here. I don't want to be here, man.
I'm here so I don't get fined.
I'm here so I don't get fined. That is exactly right.
How many times have you said you just love to fight the aliens in the streets?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have. That's what I
said
want.
It. Yeah.
I have.
I've said it too.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the deal. Like, that's it. Like, when you're fighting for something, you fight harder. It's that Braveheart mentality. Mm-hmm. That Braveheart mentality. And that's what it is. Because, again, like, I'm part of the Byzantine Empire. I am either a slave and told to be here, or I got drafted into this and I'm told I got to be here. As opposed to these people that are like, no, this is my home. I'm fighting for what I believe in.
Yeah. And the other side of that, right? Like the end of the Hurt Locker when he's looking around at all the cereals and he can't figure out which one. And he's like, this is so stupid.
Yeah, right.
All this is stupid. I'm washing these stupid mushrooms and chopping them up for my wife's salad. And,
sure.
I just want to go disable bombs.
I want to almost get blown up. What a movie.
Yeah, and he's a bit of an adrenaline junkie, but still, the meaning in your life, right?
God, go skydiving, you maniac.
So there's a variety of reasons why they're so successful. Part of it is the way that they treat people when they're their opponents, when they've conquered them.
Right.
And, they don't plunder from individual citizens as a policy. I'm sure there were some people that got plundered that weren't supposed to. But the policy is you can plunder from armies and the monarchs, right? If we capture a palace, you take all the king stuff.
Yeah, take all the king stuff. Do whatever you want there, but don't take Steve the blacksmith stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Steve the blacksmith's got a hard life as it is.
Yeah, dude's a blacksmith. He's just trying to make blacksmith stuff.
Exactly. And then if you leave Steve the blacksmith alone and you show him charity and kindness, maybe he'll join us.
Yeah, and that's ultimately what we want.
Yeah, and so that's why everywhere they go, they're just flourishing, right? It seems like the social experiment that they've started is working.
Sure.
People are sticking to it. And we talked about the cementing the religion, right? So that's another focus that Omar has in, like, we need to write down the traditions. We need to figure out what we're doing. He brings in the most respected scholars to, write down, these are going to be the rules. Right. He bans drinking alcohol completely. Now, Muhammad never went that far.
Sure.
Muhammad was against drunkenness.
Yeah, don't drink to excess.
Right. Muhammad was against excess and debauchery and all that.
Right.
And Omar says no alcohol. And like we kind of see with like the Catholic Church.
Right.
Once something gets set down, it's a rule.
Yeah, right.
Like, why are priests celibate? Because some priest in like 1200 AD decided it might be a good idea.
Yeah.
And 800 years later, we're
what
still
we're doing.
forcing priests to be celibate.
Yeah.
Because another dude, not God, not Jesus.
Yeah, some guy.
just a guy before you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we see some of that. Omar is the first one to institute the separating of the sexes during prayer, which the point of that is to think of nothing but prayer.
Sure.
So the thinking is,
you're with a bunch of dudes. You're not going to be thinking of the ladies.
Yeah, you're not thinking of the ladies.
Yeah.
That's the idea. There's a little bit of a complicated legacy there with his role with women. I'm going to read a quote so I don't butcher it. It's true, of course, that gender relationships in Medina did not conform to modern feminist ideals. Tribal Arabs and most early cultures saw separate and non-overlapping roles for men and women, and Islam confirmed the separation. In Omar's day, however, education was compulsory for both boys and girls in the Muslim community. Women worked alongside men. They took part in public life. They attended lectures, delivered sermons, composed poetry for public orations, went to war as relief workers, and sometimes even took part in fighting. Important decisions facing the community were discussed in public meetings. Omar participated in those meetings as just another citizen in the community, and women, as well as men, engaged him fearlessly in debate. In fact, Omar appointed a woman as head of the market in Medina, which was a position of great civic responsibility, for included duties such as regulating construction, issuing business permits, and policing the integrity of weights and measures. Even so, Omar did plant seeds that eventually developed into a severe constriction of women's participation in public life. So, complicated.
Right.
But 100% not what we see in some Muslim countries.
Right.
And in some practicing Muslims, the way that they treat women.
Right.
With as many caveats as I can put in that sentence.
Sure.
That I am not saying all. I am not saying everybody. I'm not attaching it to the whole religion.
Right.
But to be accurate, right?
Yeah. It is ingrained in the religion.
There are
on
places.
some level.
Yeah, there are places that do things that I just 100% can't get on board with.
Yeah. You shouldn't. Again, I think objectively, not allowing women to drive cars.
When we get to critical race theory,
another
teaser for that episode. It's coming, people. It's coming. I'd get myself in trouble with that statement.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm imposing my culture on somebody else.
Yeah.
So we'll get there. We're teasing that episode.
Right. Like I said, and this episode really kind of confirmed a lot, like personally for me, where it's like, it seems like it's more of a social experiment.
It is.
Right? And it's more of a way to live. And they keep using community as a thing. And
they practice what they preach. You go into any mosque, you'll feel it.
Right. But like that's the point. The point is that it's a community, it's a way of life. And so the religious aspects of like being for and throwing yourself at a higher power has like removed it, like it's lost its usefulness, right? You don't have to pray to the sun for the sun to come up every day. You know what I mean? Like that's sort of nonsense. And you know, I think that religion has just kind of like lost its usefulness because, you know, like
I'm not going there. I'm not doing it. We have an important business to cover.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you say your piece.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to drag us down that rabbit hole.
I know. It's just like, because you look at like the Catholic Church, right? And again, that's the one that I can take to task a little bit more.
Do it.
You were founded on a principle of like feeding the homeless and like helping people. And like you look at some of these mega churches down in the South.
Well, they're not Catholic.
Yeah, no, but I'm talking about Christianity in general, right?
Okay.
I'm talking about just like the blanket thing.
Sure.
Because yes, the Protestant, the Christianity, the Baptist, like, yeah, they're all the same thing. You know, they're all just different sects of the same thing. I forget the guy's name, but he has a church that's the size of a stadium in Houston. Houston was about to get devastated by a hurricane. And
Joel Osteen.
Joel Osteen.
Yeah.
That's the guy's name. And he could have sheltered thousands of people in there, and he didn't. Right?
I've heard different stories on it. Yeah.
Oh, so the thing is that
I think he might have opened it up, but he didn't do it initially.
No, the thing is that they were like, "Hey, can you do this?" He was like, "No," and then the internet got a hold of it.
I think you might be right.
The internet got a hold of it and was like, "Look at this asshole,"
Yeah.
and he was just like, "I didn't say that. What I said was," and it's just like, "No, shove it up your ass," you know.
Yeah.
And that's the type of thing. It's like you don't have to pay taxes. You don't have to pay taxes because, in theory, you're feeding the homeless.
You could definitely pile on him for that because it shouldn't have been a discussion.
No, it shouldn't have.
He should have already been doing it before somebody asked.
Right. I was at a church. So I was at a church in Boston, or like in surrounding of Boston growing up, that when the priest sex scandal of like molesting children was like a thing, they were going to close down the church that I went to. And the only reason, like, there were more parishioners and people went and more people were involved in the community and went to community than several other churches in the area, right? But they were going to close the church that I went to because it was right off of the Mass Pike. And in that particular part of the Mass Pike, there's no exit going east.
Yeah.
So there's an on-ramp going east, there's an exit going west, but there's no on-ramp. There's no on-ramp going west and no on-ramp going or off-ramp going east, right? I think I said that correctly.
You can only get on going one way.
Yeah, you can only get on going one way, and that is it was abutting the highway, and that property was more valuable. And they were going to sell that property off because they needed to pay for all their stuff. And it's like, oh, you don't care about the people that go there.
Yeah.
You care about your organization, and you're no different than anybody else.
So, yeah, you equate the organization with the religion.
Yeah.
I firmly separate them.
The problem...
to me, they're like
yes.
Christianity and church are two totally different things.
Yeah, you're right, and that's
just the way I look at it.
That's the way I should look at it. I just can't separate it because, you know, the organization of the religion is what corrupts the religion.
I've tried a few times to join a church.
Sure.
And it never works out.
Yeah.
I go in all skittish.
Yep.
And I go and I try to sit and I try to listen and I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I don't trust you.
Yeah.
I don't trust people.
No. I don't.
You want me to trust you with my soul?
Yeah. No, I don't. It's not for me.
It's hard enough for me to trust a doctor to check my blood pressure.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Not my soul. It's hard. I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Can't do it.
So, but yeah. So is that the bell?
It's almost.
Almost. Oh, okay.
Don't get fidgety, sir.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Well, more on Omar's practices, right? He limits the way that slaves can be treated. He passes rules for even a non-Muslim slave, right?
Sure.
Can only be treated a certain way. Unfortunately, it doesn't do enough. He gets stabbed by a Persian slave while in prayer at a mosque.
Of course.
And he dies. Him on his deathbed, he doesn't name a successor. He says a committee needs to choose. The committee brings Ali and Othman to be interviewed. Job interview for the next Khalifa.
Sure.
And they ask them 3 questions. Will you be guided by the Quran? Will you be guided by the life of Muhammad? Will you be guided by the precedents of the first 2 Khalifas? Othman says yes to everything.
Sure.
Ali says yes, and no. Says that I respect them. They're wise men, but I'm my own person, and I may differ from the precedents that they have set.
Sure. Didn't get it. Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
Passed over.
Yeah.
Again.
Well, the other thing, too, is it's just like I would have added, like, yeah, because I know those 2. I know them.
I knew Omar before.
Yeah. I knew.
Before the changey moment.
Yeah, right. You know what I mean? I knew them. So, like,
yeah.
They were my bros. So that's why.
So Ali's passed over again, and he promises loyalty. Doesn't rock the boat.
Yeah.
That's why I don't think he rocked the boat the first time.
Right.
I know he was younger and everything, but he had 2 other opportunities.
Right, and he never did.
And he didn't in those 2, so why would the first time? I don't know. It's possible there's some people that argue he did.
Yeah.
So we don't know.
Yeah, well, rocking the boat and being pissed about it are 2 different things.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, man, that sucks. I really wish that it was me. I was washing, Mohamed.
Yeah. I was preparing him for.
I was preparing
Yeah.
for the funeral, but yeah, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, that's different than, like, no, I'm starting my own religion.
Yeah. So we're leaving off with the first 2 Khalifas have passed, and the religion isn't really officially a thing.
Sure.
For a proper, I think that's the proper term.
Yeah.
It's not really a thing
It's not a thing.
until the 4th Khalifa.
Okay.
So we're halfway through the Khalifas. We're not going to get to Wiz for a long time.
That's too bad.
Yeah, it's too bad.
That's too bad. I like Wiz Khalifa,
I do too.
you know?
Me too. I miss him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's probably still making music, but I just don't listen.
Oh, I was going
Yeah.
to say, did he die? I didn't.
No. I haven't heard anything since like Black and Yellow. So
Yeah, I think that's the only thing.
I think
right?
he's done. Yeah.
With, all these rappers these days are one-hit wonders.
Yeah.
Very few are Jay-Z, Eminem.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly. All right. That's the bell.
that's the bell.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you. That was very enlightening. Very fun. It was our first 2-parter.
Yeah. First one.
First one. That's very exciting.
Two of many. I don't know whether we'll go consecutively or not, but we're pretty much going to go through the whole book.
Yeah.
'Cause it's awesome.
Well, it's good. You go off, you do other
Come
things,
back,
you
yeah.
come back. It's
Exactly.
really nice. It's fun.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the good thing is when it comes to history is like everything is eventually we're going to come back to it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we've talked about certain things, the civil rights movement, the critical race theory is an extension of that.
Yeah.
You know?
So, people tweeted us if you want the next 2 Khalifas next,
Sure.
or you wanna wait a little bit.
Yeah.
You want a little break? Let us know.
Let us know. Yeah, you can find me at the Eddie McCabe on all social media platforms and
Mr. Clark 135 on everything. Please tweet at me.
yeah, please tweet it. Please, he's lonely.
I
you know?
am on Twitter.
He just wants somebody to interact with him. Because like there's only so many times that you can get the little like alert bubble on your phone for Twitter, and then you click on it, and it's just like, hey, we think you might know this news story, and it's just like, oh, I thought somebody wanted to talk to me.
That's my life on Twitter.
Yeah, it's okay. It happens. But in the meantime, thank you for listening. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Tell your neighbors. Tell your grandparents. Maybe they know these stories. Maybe they don't. Maybe they'll get mad at us. I don't know. But, have some fun. Share the stories, please. It does a world of wonder for us. Thank you very much, and we'll see you real soon.
Thanks, everybody.